All right, we're going to call our regular scheduled board meeting Tuesday, December 17th, 2024, 7 p.m. Call to order, declaration of a quorum, 6 members present, 1 absent. Welcome to this meeting of the College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We are elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 72 hours in advance, and we have all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We've just completed a workshop meeting where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting or in upcoming meetings. This is a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We're pleased that you have taken the time this evening to join us. We are very proud of this school district and we thank you for your interest in and support of our students. Bring us to item C, recognitions, pledge of allegiance, and moment of silence.
My name is Parker Davis. I go to Cypress Grove Intermediate and I'm in 6th grade. My favorite thing about CG is how nice my teachers are. My favorite subject is physical education and my favorite teacher is Miss Gwinner. When I graduate, I want to be just like my mom and an actress.
My name is Mallory Richter, and I go to CSMS. I'm in the 7th grade, and what I really love about CSMS is how the students and teachers really work together.
I don't know if I'm gonna make it. My name is Trenton Stokes. I go to College Station Middle School. I'm in 8th grade. And my favorite thing about CSMS is probably how my teachers make work fun instead of boring. Oh, do I?
I pledge allegiance. Oh, wait. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Sorry. Please continue standing for the moment of silence. Oh, amen.
If y'all are going to take a picture. Oh. Take a picture. Hey, go take it.
Hey, we're going to take a picture with you. I'm going to stay. Way to go.
I love this honest though. Like they're nervous.
There you go. That's perfect. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, stay right there so your parents can take a picture.
Ready? Yeah, ready? Going up. Are we ready? Yeah. Okay. Good evening. I'm Piper Cameron, principal at Cypress Grove Intermediate. I have some lovely ladies up here with me to introduce to you. This is my instructional leadership team. They are amazing people. I am blessed to work with them. They make me an absolute better person, and I learn from them every day. This is Keisha Shepard. She's our MTSS coordinator on our campus, AKA the Data Queen. She does all of our data, structures all of our campus. It's truly amazing, and everybody on campus has a part of what she does and the spreadsheet she holds. This is Kimberly House. She's one of our instructional coaches, predominantly working with math and science, but she's all over the building. She taught math and science, so it was a perfect leeway into helping our campus grow and leading us in the right direction. Michelle Dalton is another instructional coach. She oversees ELA and social studies, taught ELA and social studies, so again, that's why they're such a dynamic team. And they're to make me kind of tear up a little bit. They're amazing people. Our team together this year has created a work ethic in our staff that we haven't seen before. They don't know this, but I asked the teachers to describe them and what they do for the team as far as their leadership. And here's just a few of them. Let's see. The encouragement they have given to us to try new things without fear of failure has been crucial to our success as a campus this year. I couldn't be more thankful for their support. They have broken down complex goals into clear, manageable steps that have made all the difference in the progress. They consistently go above and beyond to create an environment where I feel supported. They're truly amazing people and reliable. They drive the work and change on our campus by helping everybody with their practices no matter what. Our instructional leadership team builds our school with creating a culture of excellence, fostering collaboration, and creating shared responsibility and focus of our student success. So I just wanted you guys to meet these three because they absolutely are the rock of our campus, and they lead well.
You all ready? I'm supposed to follow that. I'm not going to say much. Come on up. All right, good job, Miss Silva. You ready? Ready. All right, I get the pleasure of following that up. My name is Joshua Ryan. I am the thankful principal at CSMS in the Knight Nation, and I have brought with me three fantastic educators, teachers on the front lines of our school, and they have been chosen by their fellow staff members as Teachers of the Month. But more than that, they are just great people. And so I wanted to say just a little bit about each one. I won't talk too long. They said I had 30 minutes, right? So here we go. Miss Ashley Restivo teaches math for us. And not only that, she is our department head, and she is a symbol of joy and positivity and light. When I'm having a hard day, which, I never have hard days, but when I do, she is the one that comes to me and says, it's going to be all right. And she always has a new and unique perspective, and she does that not only with us as staff, but especially her students. And then you got Mr. Jamie Bassett. He teaches math for us. He is a jack of all trades, a man who, in one word, I would say is willing. Raise your hand if you've ever worked with or know this man right here. Exactly. And that's just a testament for his dependability and him being all about this district and our kids. He does things everywhere. I mean, the guy's Santa Claus, for crying out loud. And you know that because he's going to be at our school tomorrow afternoon. What time? 4 o'clock. So there you go, kids. Yeah, amazing. And last but certainly not least, Miss Idalia Silva. She teaches science for us. She is quiet but mighty, and that is how I would describe her. She has been through so much, and she is a stalwart. She is steady and true. And with this new math science curriculum, she is the one that everybody goes to for that calm and that peace and that direction. And I appreciate you helping guide us through that. And so I am thankful and blessed to be even associated with you, and y'all deserve all the praise. And that's it.
Hi, I'm Paul Buckner, Executive Director of Facilities, and have two employees to recognize tonight, one from custodian and one from our maintenance group. So first will be our custodian of the month of December, Mr. Warren Mays. Mr. Mays is the head custodian at Welborn Middle School and has recently been promoted to the head custodian there earlier in this semester. And since he has been there, he has only excelled in this role. He has elevated the culture and effectiveness of the custodial team at Welborn. He does quality work, and it shows through how his team works collaboratively in the cleanliness of the building. Thank you, Mr. Mays. You can come on up here too, for your hard work and dedication to College Station ISD. Here they are.
Stand up here.
You stand up here. I told you had to look pretty up here. Next, I'd like to recognize Jose Ortiz as our maintenance employee of the month for December. Mr. Ortiz is one of our HVAC technicians for the district. Jose always answers the phone and helps others no matter the time of day. He also helps out wherever he can, regardless of which trade it is helping. You may see him helping one of our plumbers, one of our carpenters. It doesn't matter. He's always willing to go above and beyond. He is an asset to the district and always has a smile and a positive attitude. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz, for your hard work and dedication to the district.
All right. Mr. Horak, members of the board, tonight I have the honor of recognizing the College Station High School volleyball team for an incredible season and an outstanding playoff run that brought them all the way to the state semifinal round of the 2024 UIL 5A volleyball playoffs. The Lady Cougars finished the regular season with a 9-3 record in district play, securing the number 2 seed going into playoffs. And from there, they made an impressive run through the playoffs, earning their place among the top teams in the state of Texas. And while the outcome of the state semifinal game wasn't what they'd hoped for, this team has so much to be proud of. As a team, they reached a level very few achieve, and individually, they earned a slew of post-season honors, and here they are. Blair Thiebaud was named District 17 5A MVP and the 5A division and to the Division I All-Tournament team. Bella De Leon, Addison Green, and Haley Nash were named to the first team All-District. Cooper Binderup, Charlotte Takei, Delaney Calvert were named to the second team All-District, and Kennedy Voce was named to the All-District Honorable Mention. And for Academic All-State, we got first team Claire Connolly, second team Kennedy Voce, Addison Green, and Sarah Patronella, an honorable mention Bella De Leon and Olivia Black, and the whole team earned academic all-district honors. Please join me in congratulating your 2024 5A volleyball state finalists, the College Station High School Lady Cougars. Players, as I call your name, if you'll come and receive your certificate from Dr. Harkrider and shake the board member's hand, and then we'll take a group picture. Olivia Brick. Delaney Calvert. Claire Connolly. Isabella De Leon. Addison Green. Peyton Johnson. Emma Kelly. Hallie Nash. Sarah Patronella. Chloe Wren. Charlotte Takei. Kennedy Boche. Georgia Walsh. And head coach Ashley Davis, assistant coaches Keisha Thiebaud, Sydney Chafin, and Stephanie Paget. We're going to stand in front of the board real quick for a picture. Group of best. Just stand in front of us. Yeah, right.
Keep going.
All right, congratulations. All right, that concludes our student recognitions for tonight. Thank you.
All right, item C5, we want to recognize the artwork at the back of our boardroom from Riverbend and College Station Middle School. So kids have been working hard, and it shows definitely in their artistic ability. So make sure y'all check that out before you head out tonight. Brings to item D1, board reports. Anybody want to go first?
I guess I can say audit. We just met before this, and I believe we'll get a report on it later, but had a great audit. And thank you to Heather Wilson and everyone in that department. And also DEIC met, just really calendar. That'll come out too. And I believe tonight the link is going to come out for parents to vote.
Was that it? Sorry. All right, Dr. Harkrider.
Yes, sir. Short and sweet. Thursday, December 19th will be the end of the first semester. It will be an early release day for our kiddos. Staff will return on January 6th, and students will return on January the 7th.
All righty. That brings to item E, hearing of citizens. During this time, we will hear from citizens who registered to speak prior to the meeting in accordance with board operating procedures. The Open Meetings Act prevents us from responding to speakers regarding items not on the agenda. Comments related to items on the agenda may be discussed during deliberations on that specific agenda item. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Those needing an interpreter may have up to 6 minutes. Each person has one opportunity at the microphone regardless of minutes used. Unused minutes may not be accrued by another speaker. The executive assistant will time the comments and alert the president when time has expired. Board asks that those addressing the board refrain from derogatory comments. And our first speaker is Kira Rodriguez. And Ms. Rodriguez, I think we're going to use this microphone here. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Dr. Harkrider and members of the board. I stand before you tonight disappointed, not only as a parent, but as someone who has on multiple occasions shared concerns on behalf of our educators, only to now feel that my optimism was misplaced. After meeting with central office twice, I was cautiously hopeful, believing that time would reveal whether the words spoken to me were genuine. Recently, a candid conversation with a trusted educator within our district confirmed what I had feared. I was told that these meetings and initiatives like coffee chats exist not to foster open communication, but to quiet loud voices and give the illusion of transparency. In reality, there another layer of deflection? In one of my meetings, I shared concerns from teachers only to be told that each campus has the autonomy to make the new protocols and expectations work for them. Yet, if teachers are struggling, campus administrators are expected to communicate that with central office. Why then are these concerns not reaching you? Perhaps it's because campus administrators are operating under the fear that if campus data doesn't reflect the desired expectations of central office, their contracts won't be renewed. That isn't open communication, it's coercion. Our principals are stuck in an impossible position, diffusing teacher frustrations while fearing for their own jobs, and yet we continue to lose talented, experienced educators. By my count, at least 6 employees have left the district this year because of these expectations. If something doesn't change, that number will only grow. You are forcing teachers to work for something that they no longer believe in, teaching to a test. You claim to have an open door policy, but that door has stipulations. If you disagree with central office's directives, you're shown the way out. That's not leadership, it's a dictatorship. I am here to tell you that I will not be quieted. I will continue to speak up for those that have been made too fearful to do so themselves. I will be persistent and I will demand accountability for the educators who deserve far better than the culture of fear and silence that's been allowed to fester. This district cannot thrive when its foundation, our teachers, is crumbling beneath it. You may have designed systems to silence dissent, but let me be clear, I will not be a part of the performance. I will hold you accountable because our educators and the students they serve deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Judge Rick Hill.
Good evening, Mr. Horak, members of the CSISD School Board. Dr. Harkrider, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. My name is Rick Hill. I live at 5000 Congressional Court in College Station. I'm the father of 2 Consol grads and grandfather of 2 current Consol students. I'm here tonight to convey my appreciation to everyone in this room for their commitment and dedication to the students of CSISD. In recent months, I've seen a questioning of this school district in reference to a perceived lack of attention to academics, perceived overemphasis on athletics, and perceived lack of fiscal responsibility. At the end of this school year, as I announce their names, hundreds of graduates of Consol and CSTAT will walk across the stage to receive their diplomas. They will have taken thousands of AP exams, earned thousands of hours of college credit, saving tens of thousands of dollars in college tuition. A lack of emphasis on academics? I think not. Our athletic facilities have been neglected for years. While athletic facilities upgrades may on the surface seem to only benefit the athlete, many other students not directly involved in athletics benefit as well. When a school has athletic programs that are exemplary, this rubs off on so many other programs. Everyone benefits from the band, drill team, cheerleaders, trainers, choir that sings the national anthem, the drama club and speech club, and all the other clubs that participate in the homecoming parade, to the parents, family members, interested citizens, and students who come out to the sporting events throughout the year to cheer on their hometown heroes. As you travel around our district, you are currently witnessing a flurry of activity that will bring our athletic facilities to a level that every citizen can be proud of. An overemphasis on athletics? I think not. In 2017, I paid $3,800 in property taxes to CSISD. In 2023, 6 years later, I paid $3,200. Although my house evaluation from the county increased by more than $100,000, CSISD over that same time lowered our tax rate by 43 cents. CSISD has been able to provide quality educations to our students while lowering our tax rate by 30%. I commend the school board, our superintendent, and his staff for being exemplary stewards of our tax dollars. Lack of fiscal responsibility? I think not. In conclusion, I would like to again commend this school board, Dr. Harkrider, his staff, and every employee of CSISD on a job well done. In today's world, where it seems that the only feedback that the world focuses on is negative and public education is being railed against by all sides, I come here this evening to say, job well done. You are all a credit to our community, and I sincerely thank you for your outstanding service to our students and our community. And with that, I will leave it in your capable hands. God bless and good night.
Thank you. That will bring us to item F, consent agenda. Those items are item G, J5 through J11.
I motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Ege, second by Ms. Simmons. Any further discussion or question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Bring us to item H1, Education Foundation Program Report. Ms. Teresa Benden.
Good evening, Mr. Horak, members of the board, Dr. Harkrider, and guests in our audience. I am Teresa Benden, the Education Foundation Executive Director, and I am very pleased and thankful to have an opportunity tonight to talk about the Education Foundation and all the wonderful things we get to do in partnership with our district. In the spirit of the season, I want to start my, my talk tonight with a quote. And I'm going to be quoting from the Bible. It's from Luke 12:48, and it says, "To whom much is given, much is expected." And I really believe that that is who we are as the Education Foundation. We have been given much, and our community has given us much. And so many things are expected, and I hope that we have risen to that occasion. And I want to share all the wonderful things tonight that we have been able to accomplish. Because I only have a short amount of time, I'm going to do what's called a 30,000 mile overview here. I want to give a little bit different perspective. I've been in my role for 15 years. And so tonight I want to show you kind of where we've come the last 15 years when I started back in 2009. And I want to share all the wonderful things that we've been able to do in partnership with our community, with our board of directors, and all of you in this room. So, that being said, as you know, our mission is threefold: to inspire learning and teaching, to enrich opportunities for our students, and to recognize the successes of our teachers and our staff. And I think we do that through everything that we try to go back to our mission every time we look at the things that we do and we accomplish. So when I started in 2009, we had 3 programs that were pretty much the core of what we did as the Education Foundation. Teaching grants is, I would say, our biggest program that we support even to this day. Over the last, we are in our 26th year as a foundation. We started in 1999. We have funded 1,155 grants across the district, and that totals almost $3 million, which is pretty incredible. And those range from everything from STEM to special needs students to just anything you can think about in our classrooms. And really kudos to our teachers, because we are dependent on them to come up with these great ideas to bring innovation and excellence into the classroom. And so I really love that we are able to do this and come alongside them. I would say our second largest program that has been in place for the last 26 years is our student scholarships. We have awarded over 1,000 scholarships in the last 26 years, totaling $1.3 million. But I think one of the things that's even more impressive about this is the fact that we have 24 endowed scholarships. That means those scholarships will go on in perpetuity for forever. And those people will have an opportunity to make a difference and have a legacy in our district and for themselves throughout eternity, hopefully. Just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to help our students go on to the next level of higher education or trade school or whatever they may be interested in. And the third program that was already in place when I started was our Senior Hall of Fame, which I think most of us can agree is one of our favorite events, because we not only get to recognize students, but we also get to recognize our teachers and staff members that those students select. So over the last 25 years, we've been able to recognize over 1,200, almost 1,300 students and teachers through this program. This program works where the teachers at the high schools get to vote on these students based on leadership, integrity, dedication to their school, and their positive attitude. And so this culminates in a banquet. They get to select a teacher. They write about an essay about that teacher or staff member, And it is a wonderful night and a wonderful evening that we get to encourage all of these students and teachers. So then enters Chrissy's Closet. We all love Chrissy's Closet. Chrissy's Closet got started in 2016. It was the brainchild of Shannon Long and Kelly Kovac. They came to me and said, you know what, we really have this great idea and we need your help. And I said, okay, let me hear about it. And so together we have come up with what's called Chrissy's Closet. Of course, our namesake, Chrissy Hester, who is iconic in the district for her love and grace and care of all of our students. And it has really been a game changer, I would say, for the foundation as a whole. Because what it did, when I started in 2009, the foundation was not well known. Of course, this is pre-internet, or I should say social media. And so when things like that started taking off, Chrissy's Closet really brought to the forefront all the things that we were doing at the foundation. And obviously, through Chrissy's Closet, we have invested over almost $250,000, and we've had over 25,000 visits to the closet. We are currently in our 8th year at Chrissy's Closet. And, you know, you don't think that we have needy children in our district, but we do. And that amount has grown significantly since I started 15 years ago. And so we love the ability to partner with some of the areas in the community to help bring this to our students and our employees that have need. Our Amy Anderson Literacy Legacy, another amazing program that touches the lives of our youngest students. This program gives book vouchers to our pre-K and Head Start students so they can go to their book fairs and actually purchase books to take home for their school libraries. Mary Culpepper is the brainchild of this program. She went to a school book fair and said, how come the young kids are getting to go to the book fair? And of course the principals and teachers are saying, well, they just don't have the funds. So they weren't even getting to go shop at the book fair. And Mary said, you know what, that's just not right. So we started the Amy Anderson Literacy Legacy Program, and now we have given over 6,300 books to students in pre-K and Head Start so that they have a library at their own homes and get excited about reading. Our next program that we adopted was the Summer Day Camp Scholarships. This is another brainchild of Mary Culpepper. Mary Culpepper, those of you who don't know Mary, she is a very giving and big-hearted board member on my board who has been very impactful. And I love to give recognition where recognition is due. She has a heart for children. And so Mary said, you know what, we have some kids at risk in the summers. They need help. They need something to do and go to keep to bridge that gap between school from the summer to the fall. And so we have helped over 123 students attend Summer Day Camp, and this keeps them engaged. It keeps them busy. And they have a chance to be with Aggies. A lot of our counselors are Aggie students, and so just to be around those quality people, I think is amazing for these children to be a part of. Here's a really cool little extra bonus. Today, I got a phone call and found out that we got a $25,000 donation today from the Adam Corporation Foundation for our Summer Day Camp scholarships for this year. So that's a huge feather in our cap. We're very excited about that because that just means we get to send more kids than we normally do. So here's another program that we started. This program is really cool because we know as a first-year teacher, you start the school year, you have no money, and you don't get paid for like 6 weeks or maybe 8 weeks. I'm not even sure. But it's a long time when you're out of college and you're broke. And so I love this program because it is funded by an anonymous teacher, a retired teacher in our school district who really believes in helping these first-year teachers get started. As you can see, we've given over 400 gift cards to new teachers, and this is just a way to help them get their classroom going. And we just know with all the budget cuts and things, they just don't have a lot of extra help to get their classrooms up and running. So we're really excited about being able to do that. We have been doing this for 9 years now, and it's amazing. It feels like we just started it, but here we are, 9 years in. And then our annual staff awards. I started thinking about one day that, you know, it's great that we can recognize our staff members at the end of year award ceremony. And it's wonderful that they get something to commemorate it. But wouldn't it be nice if they could get a little cash in the hand, right? It goes a long way. And so we had a law firm that came alongside us that helped us. I think initially Caldwell Country Chevrolet helped us initially, and then Daniel Stark Law came in and helped us fund this for us annually. And it's just been a wonderful opportunity to really thank our staff members, our teachers, for a job well done, because we know that doesn't go, you just can't do that enough, right? So we really love being able to do that. This is our 7th year to be able to continue our end of year staff awards. So, these are all adopted programs for the Education Foundation. But what I love about our board is the fact that they're open-minded, and we know there's lots of needs. We don't fund field trips with our teacher grants, but field trips are important. And we know it's important for kids to get off campus, to have opportunities to see things and experience different educational opportunities. And so we have adopted what we call our district-wide projects. And these, we have spent over $300,000, maybe more, because this is just a sampling of all the different things we've done over the several years that I've been in the leadership role. And I love this because I feel like it's so impactful. The 7th grade capital field trip for the whole 7th grade team gets to go. Every year we've been doing that for several years now. MSC Opus field trips, we've been helping fund those locally. We've been bringing Dinosaur George in about every 5 years, so it kind of cycles through the elementary schools. CSISD Little Olympics actually is a new initiative. It was started with a grant last year, and we loved it so much that we decided just to adopt it and continue it. And then, of course, our campus food pantries, we have come alongside those because we have opportunities to write grants and help get funding for those campus food pantries as well. And this is another thing I really love about our board. They have vision, and they care about growing the programs and coming alongside the district when there's need. And so this is a brand new initiative. It's not even, we haven't even made it public technically, but we're calling it the New Ag Initiative technically because we don't really have a better name at the moment. But we have already agreed to seed $20,000 of money to support our animal science program in the district. And what that means is when these students raise animals and they go to the Brazos County Livestock Show, when they sell those animals, we're going to help come alongside those and do what's called a freezer sale. We're going to help put back money in their pocket so they can continue the program, buy another animal, go through the whole process. But I don't know how many of you have been involved in the agriculture area where you've raised an animal. It is a fantastic opportunity for kids to learn responsibility, leadership, all those things that they have to do in real life, right? And so we're really excited about this. Also, we're hoping in the fall to help do some money as well to help kids start up that don't have the means to maybe have an animal, because with the new Ag Science Barn, we have lots of room and we want to fill it up, and we want kids to be out there having a chance to raise an animal and be a part of that. So very excited about that initiative. So how do we raise our money? Where does that come from? And I think it's important to note that obviously, I'll talk a little bit about 50 Men Who Can Cook, because when I started in my role, 50 Men Who Can Cook was the way we raised our funds. It is obviously a very popular event. We are going to continue to do that event. We have raised $1.8 million with this event over the last 16 years, and it's great. We have a lot of fun with it. It's a great way for the community to come alongside us. However, in my training, in my role, I found that I had a lot of people tell me, hey, you need to get away from event-based fundraising. It's dangerous. It can burn out. Things can change. And sure enough, what happened? COVID hit, and all the nonprofits couldn't have their annual events, us included. And the year before that happened, luckily, we had gone to what's called an annual campaign fundraising program. And we call it our partnering program. And so in 2016, we started what we call our annual partnering program. And what does that mean? We went to people and said, hey, give to the Education Foundation, and you're going to get tickets to 50 Men. You're going to get tickets to our Senior Hall of Fame. You're going to get to support a teacher grant. You may even get to give a scholarship depending on the level of funds that you want to support. what that did is it taught people that they were giving to the Education Foundation and not just to 50 Men, because people would show up to 50 Men Who Can Cook and go, this is a great event, but I have no idea what this is supporting. Because, it's a really unique event. We don't sit down at tables and have somebody talk the whole time. And so this was a huge pivotal time for the Education Foundation when we started really growing and really gaining some momentum in our fundraising. So the other really big, I feel like, impactful thing in our district that has been hugely, hugely helpful in our fundraising and in our support of our district is our employee giving. It took me a couple years to talk the current superintendent into letting us do it, but once we got things going and started, it really started growing. And as you can see, we have 60% of all CSISD employees now participating in what we call our payroll deduction program. So they're giving out of their paycheck bi-monthly. And guys, this is a huge part of our budget. I want to say like a fifth of our budget, and we're raising over $1 million annually right now. And so you can imagine the difference that we can make with all of our other programs because our own staff and teachers believe in what we're doing. And to me, that's the biggest stamp of approval, that you guys out there are willing to give back to us to do all the things that we get to help support. Star Educator is another smaller program that I love. It's kind of a dual program. We get to recognize teachers and staff through the Star Educator program, but we also raise money for the foundation. So for a minimum $10 donation, you can recognize somebody. We just actually sent out Star Educators today. They went out to all the campuses. And so that's actually been a wonderful dual way to raise funds as well as recognize our teachers and staff. But as you know, we cannot do all of this without a huge amount of help and people in the background doing all the hard work and coming up with the ideas and also making the donations. I am proud to say this is our 2024-25 Education Foundation Board. Every single one of these people is a donor to our organization, and most of them at very large levels. Several of these people have been on the board since I started 15 years ago, and they are core members of this group, and they care about our district, they care about our teachers, they care about our staff, and they've been some incredible people to work with and get to know in our community. And as you know, just like a very successful man, I'm going to sound sexist now, but a man that doesn't have a good woman behind him, right? A good wife. I don't get things done either without this incredible staff. I have an amazing staff, and I want Amy to stand up. Amy is our office manager / bookkeeper / everything. She's trade of all hats. She's been by my side the last 12 years, and it has been incredible to have her in just working with me on everything. So I wanted her to recognize you. People say we just have a really well-oiled machine, and we do. I'm a boy mom. I've always been around men my whole life, have brothers. But let me just tell you, this group of ladies, I would adopt them anytime. They are like sisters to me. I love them, and they have been fantastic. And I'm telling y'all, as you know, as they got up earlier and said, they're the core of what happens behind you. They make me look good. They put me out front and support me and do all the things that need to happen in the background. So I really want to give them a shout out. But really what it's all about is our community, because without the donations and the support and the things that we get to do from the community support, is just incredible. So I want to give a huge shout out to our community. I want to echo what Judge Hill said. I think our staff and teachers are phenomenal. I think you guys are amazing. I am not an educator by trade. My background is journalism and PR. And so to work with all of y'all and to get to know the things that you get to do at the level in the classroom has just been incredible. And it has been my honor and privilege to come alongside you and raise $12 million to support our kids. So thank you for the opportunity to share tonight, and just appreciate all that you guys do for us. Anybody have questions?
Anyone have any questions, comments?
We just have to say how amazing it is. And I mean, and that was a wonderful view of everything that y'all do, and really probably not everything, but I mean, but it was a great summary showing how you impact the students and the teachers in so many ways. So very much thanks to you. The applause was very deserved, and of course your team. But I mean, I also, and you said it, but the people not only on your board that donate, but all the partners that are out there. I mean, this is our community stepping up and supporting our school district, and some of them are, many of them are behind the scenes doing it. And I just think it's a wonderful testament to people who care about and love and support our district and our students. So much thanks to them as well. So.
Anything else? Teresa, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. That'll bring us to item I1, Human Resources Update. Ms. Cooper.
Oh, this one. All right, thank you. All right, Dr. Harkrider, Mr. Horak, the board, and everyone here this evening, thank you for allowing me just a few minutes of your time to share a staffing update with you. My name is Bridget Cooper, and I'm the Director of Human Resources here in College Station ISD. I'm short, sorry, vertically challenged. I'm kind of disappointed, Mr. Horak, because this is going to be really, really exciting. So I was expecting lights when I came up, but okay, let's see. Yes, I am too. All right, there we go. There we go. Okay, so just want to take a little bit of time to share a staffing update with you all. Some of the things we'll go over this evening, talk a little bit about the legislative session, share some data from the TAPER reports, some data on our state trends and our turnover rates, as well as the hiring practices and the things that we do in our department to attract and retain teachers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about fall semester resignations and some trends there. So, as you know, the 89th Texas Legislature will convene on January 14th. There are currently over 800 bills that have been filed, and we have about, we have several days for more bills to be filed. And so there are a lot of challenges and opportunities that come with, for public education, that come with the Texas Legislature. I was just in a conference last week, and we had a gentleman that talked in one of our general sessions, and he said that the elephant in the rotunda, we all know, with the 89th Legislature, will be the talk of vouchers. But that is not the only topic of conversation that will come up with the 89th Legislature. So some of the challenges that we face is number one, declining enrollment. And that's just not something that we are facing here in our district. It is something that is occurring statewide, largely in part to the rise of homeschooling. So each year, we lose students to private schools and charter schools, but it is now unprecedented the number of families that are choosing to homeschool their students. And then we have a decrease in teacher applicants. Again, that's not something that's just occurring here in the state. I mean, here in CSISD, it's occurring across the state. We have fewer people that are entering the teaching field. But whenever there are challenges, there are also opportunities. So one of the main opportunities that we see for us in public education is because of the fact that we are losing students, because of the fact that we have declining enrollment, we have to do better on communicating. We have to communicate all of the positive things that are going on in our school district. We have an amazing communications department that is doing a fabulous job of showcasing what is happening here in CSISD. We also have to be clear and transparent, not just about all of the great things that are happening with our athletics and with fine arts, but we're also being very clear about what we're doing when we talk about curriculum, any program changes that we have, just being clear and transparent. And then it's also an opportunity for us because we know that funding in the state is something that is also decreasing. And so that provides an opportunity for us to become more efficient and use our public funds more effectively. We are very fortunate that we have a new CFO, Heather Wilson, who is very fabulous at doing that and looking at the big picture. And very early on working with her with staffing, one of the first things that I did as also we spent many evenings together where she went campus by campus, position by position. And so I'm learning a lot from her. And, you know, anytime I said, like, anytime there are any challenges, we also have opportunities. All right, so the Texas Academic Performance Report, or the TAPER report. Wanted to take a look at staffing and looking at our turnover rates. So this is the last 3 years data of our turnover rate. In our district, between 21-22 and the 22-23 school year, our turnover rate did increase from 14 to about 18%. And then in 23-24, it decreased to 17%. But if you look, you will see that our turnover rate is on trend with the state. So there is no anomaly here. When the state turnover rate increases, so does ours. And then when it trends down, CSISD trends as well. But one of the positives is that, as you can see here, the state is in blue. We're below that in orange. So our turnover rate, even though it does increase and decrease, it is consistently below the state turnover rate. So when you talk about hiring, some of the things that we have to do in our department, we're always planning. So we start out by reviewing our student enrollment projections. We also look at our program needs and then what budget constraints do we have to work within. Then we take an assessment of our vacancies. How many teachers will be retiring? What resignations do we have coming? The past couple of years, we were fortunate enough to have an early resignation incentive, which allowed us to have some information earlier in the school year rather than having everyone resign in May and over the summer, where we're trying to flounder and fill positions. By offering that early resignation incentive, we had a better idea of what we were looking at staffing wise. Then we also have our job postings, both internal and external job postings, and then our recruitment events. So the things that we do to recruit teachers. We attend job fairs. We also host job fairs. I'm so sorry, my mouth's dry. We also host job fairs. For example, our auxiliary job fair. And then we collaborate. Thank you so very much. All right, we collaborate with our educator prep program. So we are fortunate that Texas A&M is in our backyard. So that is one of our #1 partners as far as hiring teachers. But we also partner with Stephen F. Austin, Sam Houston State University. And so that is one of the benefits that we have so many candidates that we can pull from the universities that are around us. Some of the other things that we do to attract and retain teachers, the teacher incentive allotment. The teacher incentive allotment was a program that started by the state that allows teachers to earn a designation. There are 3 designation levels, recognized, exemplary, and master. If a teacher earns a designation, that designation is displayed on their teaching certificate. But in addition to that designation, they also earn an allotment payout. They get that payout once a year for 5 years. A teacher at the recognized level, which is the lowest level, the least amount a teacher would earn is $3,000. But a teacher who earns a master designation, which is the highest designation, can earn up to $32,000. And for a teacher a $32,000 one-time check that they get in August is huge. So in 22-23, our first cohort of teachers, there were 179 teachers who earned designations, and they generated $1.7 million in allotment payouts. In 23-24, we had an additional 149 teachers who either earned new or higher designations, and those teachers generated almost $3 million in payouts. In October, we submitted our latest cohort, and so there are 167 teachers who we submitted who right now are proposed to earn new or higher designations, and we will learn if our application was accepted late January or early February. And so if or when that application is approved, those teachers will have either a new or a higher designation displayed on their certificate, and they will earn those payouts in August. Since we have started the Teacher Incentive Allotment Program, I can tell you that it does help us to retain teachers. When the spring rolls around and people start to plan and think of what they might do next year, I do have teachers that will reach out if they are considering leaving the classroom. They'll reach out and say, if I take this coaching position or if I take this position, will I lose my designation? Or how will that affect me with TIA? Depending on what choice a teacher makes, they may continue, they retain that designation for 5 years. But depending on the choice they make, they may or may not continue to earn that designation. To earn the allotment. In order to earn that payout, they have to remain in a teaching assignment. And so there have been people who have decided to stay in the classroom rather than take another position. We've also had people that were thinking of resigning or retiring that have decided that they would stay on because they are earning that additional allotment. So that works out for us in our favor. We also have some grow your own initiatives. We were fortunate that we had a grant program partnering with Texas A&M where we were able to have teacher residents. Those teacher residents were hired by CSISD as paraprofessionals. So they were paid a para salary, but they worked alongside a mentor teacher who was the teacher of record in that classroom. At the end of that residency, almost all of those teacher residents were hired and took full-time teaching positions in our district. And now we are actually working on implementing a program where we will work in partnership with the Flibbing Group and Indiana Wesleyan University, where we will have a cohort of paraprofessionals who will work through modules with Teachworthy and through the university to earn their degree and a teaching certificate. So they will be working alongside a teacher, earning a salary and earning a degree, and they do not pay for that degree. The district takes on that cost. And so that is definitely, anyone who has a district that commits to them and pours into them is someone that you are expecting is going to stay in your district and work for you because you have committed to them, and the expectation is, they will turn around and commit to CSISD. Okay, so looking at our fall semester resignation, since that's the time of year that we are in now, just kind of looking at our trends. So in 21-22, there were 10 resignations in the fall. For a variety of different reasons. For all of these, you'll see you have people that leave for personal reasons. Maybe there are health reasons. Daycare for anyone who has had a child in daycare anytime recently. You could, buy a car for what you pay for childcare. And so sometimes we have people that decide to stay home for that. So 21-22 and 22-23, both those years, we had 10 resignations between the start of school and our winter break. 23-24, there were 17 resignations. Again, you look at the different reasons. For whatever reason in 23-24, we had some classroom teachers who had some pretty significant health issues. And so there was an uptick in our resignations last year. And then this current school year, to date, we have had 6 mid-year teacher resignations. 4 of those positions have been filled, and our principals are amazing. And some of these, a lot of times, we will have a principal that will reach out and will say, I have a teacher who's resigning, but I already have someone in mind. And so a lot of those positions have already been filled. The 2 that we currently have not filled, those principals are actively searching for candidates. And again, the same with reasons for resignations. If you're wondering, what would make someone leave in the middle of the school year, we had a gentleman who his family, they determined that it was going to be more cost effective for that family if he were to stay home rather than continuing to pay their high daycare costs. We had a teacher at one of our high schools who was from out of the country, didn't have any family here, and made that decision to return to her country to have that family support. And then family reasons, and we had one teacher who's actually leaving the profession. So that's just kind of an overview of our staffing to date in the district, and just a little bit of information about the practices in our department. Any questions?
First of all, thanks for clarifying on the TIA. When I first saw that I was forgetting that second year number is cumulative dollars that we're having come in, because it's the folks that got the recognition the previous year, and then the second year it's that many new people, but we're still spending money or getting to give money to the teachers who got the recognition the previous year.
Yes.
So we're looking now, this would be the 3rd year of the program, so we would add additional teachers and the others would still be getting all that funds.
Yes, so each year we submit new and higher designations. So if a teacher is at the recognized or exemplary level, they can still earn a master designation. Once they earn a higher designation, their 5-year clock restarts. So the amount of time that they will have that designation on their certificate and they will receive that allotment, that clock starts over.
Yeah. So I would just say that, I know it's not a perfect system because I wish everybody had the opportunity to have those funds, but it is an extra, almost $3 million that is coming to our teachers. So that's
It is, and we are continuing to increase the number of eligible teaching assignments each year. The first year, it was really just elementary through 8th grade, and now we have included high school, CTE, fine arts. I'm working with Megan Simac right now, looking at expanding into possibly PE. So as many teaching assignments as we are able to add on and expand that program, we will do so.
I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the teachers of all types do as well. What is our rate of acceptance for those numbers that we submit? When you said you're submitting for approval on those numbers.
So any teacher who is in an eligible teaching assignment, so in October, I believe I submitted 579 teachers. So that's how many teachers were in those eligible teaching assignments. Out of those 570, the 167 were the ones who actually met the criteria to earn a designation. And then whether or not that application is accepted is math. That's way beyond me. But it first goes to TIA, and it goes through levels of approval. And from there, it goes to Texas Tech University, and it goes through a 14-step data validation process at Texas Tech.
Okay. On that same slide, the other thing I wanted to point out that I think I hear wonderful things about is the Grow Your Own program. And you mentioned certainly having the teachers that we go through the mentorship and you mentioned we started that with a grant. Do we fund are we still doing it? To what level? Are we funding it as a district? Where are we now with that?
So the last set of residents are currently in classrooms. That grant ended We were not able to self-fund after that grant ended, but now there is a new set of grants that are becoming available. So that is something that we may be able to pursue and continue.
Are these state grants, Dr. Harkrider? Do you know? Do y'all know if are they state?
T-Class, I believe, was a state grant.
State grants. Okay. Well, again, I think the residency program is a fabulous thing from everything I've heard from teachers and obviously from us getting to bring on new teachers. And again, I wish the state would do like that, more and more of that, give us more opportunity to do that. It's a lot of positive. I'm going to say one other thing on, can you go to our teacher retention slide with the data? I think that gap between the state turnover rate and the district turnover rate is something we've always looked at for years as a huge positive in our district, that we have been a place where teachers want to work in general. And in fact, there's we would talk about it when we look at some of our pay scales, right? Not being maybe as high, and I just think that is such an important part of our district. And I want to make sure that with all the pressures that come from the state, certainly I think everything that teachers do continues to get harder, and the pressure that comes from sometimes our own community. But I think we as a district, I hope we continue to do everything we can to support our teachers so we can keep that gap, keep our teachers and to not only support them with pay when we can, and hopefully that will happen some with the 89th legislator, but also just supporting them for all the effort and struggles that they have to do. So thank y'all for everybody who does their little piece to do that. It's so important.
Ms. McAdams mentioned the state a few times there. Is just for anybody who's here tonight or watching online, we know how important it is to talk to our legislators about the importance of funding and importance of support for our teachers. Is there, and not to put you on the spot, but is there a website or somewhere where folks could go to see specific bills that apply to public education, to funding for teachers and so forth, so they could potentially contact their legislatures and, hey, Senate Bill number 107, that's something we need to support, for example?
Yeah, we've got access to a site that houses all the education bills filed. Them being filed at this point in time really mean nothing until they start getting heard on the floor. That's when action starts going. And Austin and I, once that starts happening of anything that we feel like's relevant for us in a good way or a negative way, we'll start sharing that information with our community and parents just so they're aware. But them being filed now, there's well over 1,000 plus bills. 90% of those will never be heard. And so it's what traction to get it heard, where it is on the order. The number of the bills sometimes becomes important too, of the level of hearing it's going to get or not get. And so that's when it starts really kind of jockeying. And late January, middle of February, things really start to get rolling. And so we want to do a good job of making sure our staff and our community is aware of what's taking place, because a lot of times we feel like what's happening in Austin does not affect us. It directly infects us in one or two ways. It could be good. It could really, in some situations, not necessarily have an effect. More cases than not over the last 5 or 6 years, it's been more negative happening to us than positive. And I think that's the balance that our staff has been working on the last 2 years as far as talking about teacher retention and turnover rates. There's more and more areas that TEA is putting on our staff, whether it's training, it's reading academies, whatever it is. The TIA going through that process is wonderful. There's also a lot of concerns internally with us and throughout the state with superintendents is the funding going to continue for TIA? It's a great promise and it's there, but is the funding going to continue to go there? Hopefully we're this far enough in that it's going to continue to come. But that's the challenge for us, is how do we balance our staff and the expectations from TEA, because many times they feel like, well, it's us that has the expectations, and it's not. So how do we balance the extra demands on teachers, and how can we divide and conquer that? And that's something we'll continue to work on again this spring, as it's a moving landscape and what's going to affect us for 25, 26, and what do we need to put into place to better support our team.
Dr. Ryder, just to follow up on that, so you said what kind of time frame should folks be looking for that information?
Middle of February, early March is when things really start getting going. Yeah, about the middle of March, bills will start being heard. I expect the voucher conversation to take place very early on in the legislative session. There's support in both chambers for vouchers, but what they're going to look like, there's not a consensus between the House and the Senate. They both have different views. So I don't see anything to happen early, but I do think there'll be some early traction and conversations on what that's going to look like.
Ms. Cooper, can I ask a question? Based on your report, it seems like we're trending better this year on teacher resignations than we have in previous years.
Yes.
And also it seems like a lot of the reasons they're leaving are not within our control. It's not on the district per se. Am I understanding the presentation correctly? Because I know
Yes.
we heard from a community member earlier that they feel like we have a lot of resignations, and it appears to me that we're actually doing better this year.
Yes, and like I said, that's why I shared the reasons. You have people that have personal reasons where they are leaving the state or leaving the country to be with their family. We can't, compete with that. Overwhelmingly, I don't think just in education, but just in general, mental health is something that we have to combat. So when people are leaving for health reasons, or they're going, staying home with their family, we do have people that are leaving the profession. So not only are we not attracting, not as many people are choosing to teach, we also have people that are leaving the profession, and some of those things we can't control. You're correct.
We're talking a lot about numbers, and numbers are really important. It's good. I thank you for the data that you've given us tonight, but I'm sitting here also just thinking about, despite all of the challenges that teachers face, all of the workload that's on them, the challenge we have with funding and not being able to pay them the way that we really want to, we still have a lot of really incredible teachers. And, this is anecdotal, but I have a kid who's had a teacher this year that became sick, was in the hospital with pneumonia, had some broken ribs, and that teacher kept coming back and kept coming back and kept coming back because they wanted to be with those kids. Finally had to be convinced that they needed to stay home for a little while and really rest and get better. But it just reminds me that we have a whole lot of teachers who want to be in the classrooms with our kids. So I just felt the need to put that out there too, in the middle of all this talk about numbers, that we are really lucky that we have a lot of really great educators in this district too, and kudos to all of them that are, represented by their principals here tonight. So,
Anything else?
Well, yeah, I will add one thing, because along those lines, I do think that's so important, obviously. But when's the last time from the HR, how often do you do a staff or teacher kind of climate survey? I know we recently did one with parents, but how often when's the last time we've done one of those? And is that something that you're doing regularly or planning?
So there are, sorry. Okay. You can go ahead.
Yeah, many times those have been campus-based. I'm trying to think of the program that we used the year before I got here. We don't use that program anymore. It was only been used a couple of times a year, and it wasn't cost effective. So now everything is pretty much, we run through Google. It's free. And so it's more campus-based, but we're also, obviously, cell phone survey is out right now for our teachers, parents, and kids to give feedback. We'll be sharing that with you at the January meeting. The interesting part, first glance, first several hundred that have come in, it's pretty much even on either side. So it's really not kind of what we were thinking it was going to be. But I think also we'll survey the staff at some point in time this spring. I don't know exactly what it will entail, but really a lot of it is feedback on what they would like to see moving forward for next year. There's things that we can control and things that we can't control. There was a lot of new this year with PLCs and collaborative team time And I think, as anything, staff's wanting to know what's going to happen next year. And our principals know the toughest year when you're implementing something is year one. And the good thing about this process is it doesn't change. You just get better at the process. So when they show up next April, that's still the focus, except you've got a year's experience of what that's going to look like. And then you've got a year experience as you bring in new teachers into those collaborative teams. You've got an experienced team that can help grow them because you've already been through that piece. And so I think year 2 and 3, you'll start to see a lot of traction, a lot of improvement with kids, and honestly, a division of work for our staff that doesn't put everything on a teacher. And I think that's the balance that we've had to work that I've seen over the last 10 years that have really changed, is what those expectations are. And how do we help balance that? Especially when funding is a challenge, it doesn't matter. We got to figure it out, because you can't just continue to put more and more and expect them to do with less. And I think that's what we feel like we've got a great plan right now, but it's not perfect, and it'll continue to get better.
And I certainly appreciate that, and I know it's a process. But I just kind of saying, I do think along the way, it is good to get probably the teachers' feedback as they're doing it. So I'm glad to hear you're going to be talking to them in the spring, the good and the bad, right? You got to learn from them. They're doing the work, right? And we want to keep.
I don't usually share stories because that's just not my demeanor. But I was the watchdog at Greenspree the Friday before Thanksgiving, and my daughter came to me at the end of the day in tears, and I was like, "What the hell? We're going to Thanksgiving break. Why are we upset?" Her student teacher's last day was that day. I got my wife and I got the excitement we got an email last night to let her know that she is actually going to be her math teacher in the spring. And I've never seen excitement like this from a little girl who is as excited about Santa Claus as she is about her teachers. So just a cool little tidbit, because last night it was like all the problems disappeared in her world. So anyway, Ms. Cooper, thank you so much for the report. Appreciate it. J1, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding the annual financial and compliance report for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2024. Ms. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Mr. Horwack, Dr. Harkrider, Board of Trustees, I have the honor of introducing Rebecca Darling. She's a partner with Weaver and Tidwell, and she's going to do our presentation for tonight.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you guys for having me here tonight. I did pass out, you should have 3 items in front of you. One is just the presentation that I'll go over. One is a short auditor communication letter, which is basically what the slides will summarize. And then the third is this lovely 100+ page document of your annual financial report for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2024. So what I will present tonight in some short slides is just some of the required communication, which really focuses on the results of the audit, and then goes over some brief financial highlights. And I can refer to some of the pages in the AFR document so you don't have to search through them. But certainly, if there's any more detailed questions on the AFR itself, I can answer those as well. Oops. Is it this? Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, so we do actually give multiple opinions on the annual financial report itself. There's 2 opinions, one on page 3 and one on page 97. But basically, if you take nothing else away from the audit results this year for fiscal year 2024, we did issue an unmodified or clean opinion. So I'll go into a little bit more about what that means. But everybody wants a clean audit, right? It's the highest level of assurance that can be given on the financial statements. And just something to note, the audit is conducted in accordance with what we call auditing standards generally accepted in the U.S. or GAAP. And then we do also issue a second audit opinion under government auditing standards, because the ISD is a government entity. There's just that additional layer of items that we have to look at, which include looking at processes and controls and compliance with TEA guidelines and things like that. So Page 3 and page 97 of the AFR, our annual financial report, have those two opinions. They do look similar to what you're used to seeing. It's pretty standard language, but they are clean opinions. On page 99 of the annual financial report, you'll see another opinion. That's the opinion on the compliance with major programs and internal controls over compliance. That's really our opinion over your federal grant funds. So there's a schedule in the back. It's called the Schedule of Expenditures of Federal Awards. And that lists all of the expenditures for the ISD for the federal grant programs. So like the child nutrition program that has your school lunch and breakfast, your Title I programs, your special education funds. So one of the opinions that we issue and that is very involved in the audit is looking at those programs, and those major programs cycle into audit about every 3 years. So this year, the programs that cycled into our audit were the special education cluster and the improving basic programs, the Title I. And so those two programs were the ones that we focused on this year. There was a clean opinion given, so there's a schedule of findings and what we call schedule of findings and question costs in the back there. But just the takeaway, though, there were no findings there. So those are really, if you think about it, really audits within the audit, just focusing on those federal programs and making sure that we look at the compliance of how those dollars are spent and then controls, reviews, authorizations, things like that that go over spending those dollars. The next couple of slides are just going over what I call is required communications with governance. So I know it was mentioned before, I did go over these slides with the audit committee earlier today and go over any detailed questions they had. But basically what we do is, Weaver's responsibility in relation to the financial statement audit is to form and express an opinion on the financial statement. So we get the numbers from management. They provide us with the general ledger, all the revenue and expenses for the year. We audit those using various procedures, but we want to make sure that those numbers are materially correct. We also help put the wonderful annual financial report together because we have a lot of experience working with ISDs and we know the format that TA requires and all of the other submittals that have to go along with that AFR. In terms of compliance with all ethical requirements regarding independence, we are required to be independent of the ISD. So obviously we went through that independence check at the beginning of our contract, and then every year when we do the audit, we want to make sure that obviously we're independent in fact and appearance. So we make sure that there's no one on our team or within the organization that has any strong ties or affiliations with the board or teachers or anybody in strong accounting roles there. That third bullet point talks about significant risks identified during planning. I do want to point out that we are required to do a risk assessment process every year. So identifying significant risks doesn't mean that it's a red flag. It just means that we look at how the ISD operates, the money's coming in, how the money goes out, and make sure that we focus on areas that have higher risk just based on the nature of what's going on. So it's part of our due diligence. One of the things that we look at is possible management override of controls. So even if you have wonderful processes and controls throughout the year in your accounting processes, you do have people on the finance side that can make journal entries at year end and change numbers. So we always look at that and just make sure that there were no improper journal entries or changing of numbers. We always look at any estimates that are going into the financial statements. We also look at proper revenue recognition. So specifically those state aid funds, those are TEA dollars that are coming in, but those numbers get adjusted throughout the year. So we want to make sure that the revenue being captured is truly the fiscal year 2024 revenue. So that revenue and that accounts receivable there's proper cutoff and valuation there. And then also any misappropriation of cash through either improper or unauthorized expenditures. So within the ISD, there's a lot of expenses being paid, different authorizations, different approvals, depending on the department and the expense. So we actually take a sample of everything going out the door, a sample of those, if you will, and look and just make sure that there were proper authorization and that the controls and policies were being followed. So no material misstatements or internal control findings in those areas. If there was something materially found, we would discuss it with the board, management first, and then possibly bring it to the attention here. Qualitative aspects of the significant accounting policies. There were no initial selection of accounting policies this year, so no new GASBs, what we like to call them. Nothing new that we had to significantly implement that would change the way the financials look. So that's always nice. It was kind of a calm year. Every financial statement do have some level of estimate, so we're required to point those out. The foundation school program revenue, we always point that out because we do have to go to TEA and make sure that the revenue being recognized, those state grant dollars are proper for the year because they do get adjusted throughout the year. I have on there the IBNR, or the incurred but not reported accrual for workers' comp. Because the ISD is self-insured, there is a liability on the books for claims for those, the workers' comp. So we look at that. There's actually an actuary report that gives us numbers that what that liability should be. So we make sure that that's appropriate. And then net pension and OPEB liabilities, those come from actuarial valuations as well. Those are large numbers within the tens of millions of dollars, but those are actually only on the government-wide financials, so it's not something that the ISD budgets for. It's just a piece of that pension and OPEB liability from TRS that's assigned to College Station ISD. So we want to make sure that those liabilities do get on the books at a government-wide level, but again, it's not something that the ISD budgets, but they are valuations because, or they are estimations because they're based on actuarial valuations of what might happen in the future. And then, of course, we also look at any disclosures. Your disclosures are really all your footnotes. So when you're looking, if you want some light reading tonight and looking at the 100-page document, you can look at the financial statements, but there's tons of footnotes in the back. So if you want to know what the ISD spent on fixed assets or buildings, you can go look at the footnotes. Same thing with bonds. So there's a lot of information in there, and we make sure that all of those footnotes and disclosures are clear and consistent. Kind of a boring slide here because you have none noted, but that's exactly what you want. So this is just some of the things that we're required to talk about. If there were any significant difficulties during the audit, which we didn't have any. No uncorrected or corrected misstatements. That really is a key there. It just means that we were able to come in and do the audit, and we didn't have to book a bunch of journal entries and change the numbers to get them to be materially correct. So when Heather and Chris's team gave us the trial balance and the general ledger, everything that had been recorded for the year on the accounting side, that it was already materially correct. So makes for a much more smoother and cleaner audit, makes things go quickly. So really appreciate that. No disagreements with management. We do ask management to sign what we call a representation letter because these are management's financial statements. They do produce the numbers that we audit. They do take responsibility for those numbers and the information they provide us. We do ask them to sign a representation letter with that. No other management consultations with other accountants, no other significant matters. There is a schedule in the back that we call other information because it's not technically required for the audit, but it's the schedule of required responses for the school first indicators there. So that's the very last schedule on the back there. That's a TEA required schedule, so it's included in your AFR as well. And then these are just a couple of brief financial highlights. I definitely don't want to go over the whole AFR, but the general fund is always a key fund because that's where most of your key revenues and expenses are going out. So, and that's on page 24 of the annual financial report is the statement of changes, statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. So you can see there, just a summary there, you had 151.9 million in total revenues for your general fund. Total expenditures was just short of that of 149.7. So you had a 2.3 excess of revenues over expenditures, and then you can see some other things there under other financial sources uses. Those issuance of leases and subitas, those are really down there because of an accounting requirement, but those subscriptions are just annual subscriptions or more than annual subscriptions that the ISD is in contracts with. And then there's a small loss on there that has to do with, I believe the hail damage. So you can see there the net change in the fund is about 4.7. So revenue over expenses there. When you look at the general fund, there is a lot of emphasis and time that goes into budgeting that. So we do want to point out how actuals compared to budget. If you look, I think the budget to actual for the general fund is on page 68 of the AFR, but the general fund unassigned fund balance represents about 26% or approximately 3 months of total general fund revenues. So what that is the unassigned fund balance is the fund balance that's left after you've assigned or committed everything else. And you generally want that fund balance, that unassigned fund balance, to be between 3 and 6 months. So you're within that window of where you need to be there. The increase of approximately 4.7 in the fund balance during the year is primarily the result of the increase in state aid revenues in excess of any decline in tax revenues there. So those two kind of offset each other, that make up the majority of that increase in the 4.7 in that fund. When you look at the budget to actual, or the original budget to the final amended budget, it does include a decrease of property taxes of 3.1, an increase of state aid of about 5.3 million, and then there were some additional data processing services that really kind of moved buckets because of accounting entries. But those are some differences between the final, from the original and the final budget. And then when you look at final to actual results, there really weren't any significant changes from there. So again, that budget to actual for the general fund is in the back on page 68 of the AFR itself. And then there's actually two other funds that we call major funds that are presented with the general fund, the debt service fund and the capital projects fund. So if you look on page 29 of the annual financial report, this is just a snapshot of what the debt service fund looks like. You can see that there's tax revenue and state program revenue allocated to the debt service fund. Most of the expenditures, the purpose of this fund is to pay off debt. So you can see the debt service payments, and then a change in fund balance of about 2.6 million. And then your capital projects funds is your also major project, or you're also your major fund that's included in the report. You can see about 2.1 million of revenues there. Obviously, most of your costs there for your capital projects funds goes to capital outlay for facilities, acquisition, and construction. It also shows there the issuance of the bonds, the 94.4 million in bonds that was issued in FY24 in that capital projects fund. So that's the main reason for the net change in fund balance, about 67 million. Okay, I know that was a lot of fun financial information, but again, that's just the highlights. Really the results of the audit. It was a smooth year. I always enjoy working with the team here at College Station ISD. So I welcome any questions, but thanks again for having me, and thank you for the finance team for working with us, because it is a process. It's on top of their daily job, pulling things for us, answering questions. We're on site. It's a lot of back and forth, and putting together the annual financial report is no small feat either. We do ask a lot from them to get that report looking the way it needs to look. So thank you very much.
Any questions?
Again, got to comment and say thank you not only to you, but also obviously to Heather, you and your team, and everybody, Chris, everybody who supports this. I mean, it is, but we're doing it for a reason, right? Is to show that we are on top of our books, and you are proving that that our district is doing all their financial things correctly. So wonderful to get that great review. I do want to ask you, though, one thing. You said this was nothing kind of special went on this year. Have you done an audit, or how does it affect your audit when we change next year to our, when we're changing our fiscal year? I mean, I was just curious, does that make it more challenging for you? Or are you involved with that?
It'll be different. We'll be presenting, 9 months of activity versus 12. So it's going to affect how things look in that regard. But it's not unusual. We've dealt, it's a pretty standard TEA procedure that we've dealt with, and so there are maybe one or two schedules that are added, and some of the things may look a little different. But it's not unusual. We've seen it multiple times, and so it will look a little different, obviously, because you won't have your 12 months. It'll be 9 months of activity versus 12, so it'll be a little bit of that off year. But usually we disclose all that and close any gaps between budget to actual with those kind of explanations. So, yeah. And so we'll be presenting, the 6:30 year ends are actually due third week of November-ish. So we'll actually be presenting whenever that board meeting is, but those are due. The 831s are due in January, but the 6:30 year ends are due in November. So you'll see me less than a year from now.
Anything else?
Do you need a motion?
Yep.
Okay. Then I would move to approve the annual financial and compliance report for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2024, as presented.
Motion by Mr. Ben, second by Ms. Simmons. Any further question or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. That'll bring us to item J2, consider approval to declare that Pebble Creek Elementary meets the requirements set out in TEC sections 44.031H and 44.0312C, and to approve a resolution to delegate the superintendent the authority to make budgeted purchases of goods and services in excess of the amount delegated in Board Policy CH Local to ensure repair of Pebble Creek Elementary in a timely and efficient manner. Ms. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Hort. Dr. Harkrider and Board of Trustees, you've heard already tonight from Josh about our emergency situation that we had at Pebble Creek. In order to get the building up and running, we acted very quickly, and the Texas Education Code allows us to do that. So it's Texas Education Code 44.031H actually allows us to go ahead and supersede purchasing laws to make sure that we can get things in there, get them up to date before we would have to come to a board meeting. Okay, so that's really the first one. The second one's 44.031.2, and it allows the board to give further authority to the superintendent to be able to go ahead and continue to repair the building without having to come back to the board and pulling the board together to make an additional purchase. So really what's going on here, first of all, every vendor that we used to cover the building that night, Cotton was one of them, and Summit, and we've got those two in the next two agenda items. Both of those are actually approved vendors, and so we were always under the correct bid laws. The only thing that would get us in our board policy was CH Local. However, CH Local allows us on emergency situations to go ahead and make those purchases to get the building up and running and safely and get kids back in safely. CH Local requires us to spend, anytime we're spending more than $50,000 on a budgeted item, that we bring that to the board for approval. And so what I'm asking tonight is, first of all, to go ahead and make sure that you approve that that was an emergency situation and it falls under the two Texas Education Codes. And the second one is to go ahead and delegate Dr. Harkrider or a designee the authority to go ahead and make purchases to make sure that we can get those repairs done through Christmas, because at this time we're not going to know to the extent until we get in there and get busy. We're just on a short turnaround, and so this would give him authority just till the end of the emergency. So once we get it up and running and repaired, then that resolution will go away, for example. Are there any questions?
Do you have a motion? Questions, comments? Anyone can make a motion. Does it have to be, is it a specific wording on this, or?
I would, because
Okay.
of the resolution.
Okay. So there's a recommendation in the memo. Can she read that?
Yes.
Yeah? In the memo, there's a recommendation.
Okay. I move that the Board of Trustees of College Station Independent School District declare that Pebble Creek Elementary meets the requirements set out in TEC sections 44.031H and 44.0312C, and authorize through resolution the superintendent or designee the authority to make budgeted purchases of goods and services as necessary to continue operations during the duration of the emergency.
I second.
Motion by Ms. Simmons, second by Ms. Ege. Any further questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. That will bring us to J3, consider ratification of an emergency purchase for Summit Fire Security LLC for the amount of $89,776. That's a typo. Utilizing RFP 24-021 for the repair of the fire suppressant line at Pebble Creek Elementary School. Additionally, consider approval authorizing the superintendent to approve up to $5,000 in change orders or contingencies bringing the total contract amount not to exceed $94,776. Ms. Wilson.
Sure. On the resolution that you guys just adopted, there is language in there that anytime we do make a purchase, that we will bring that back to make sure that we make the board aware of the purchases that we make and ratify that purchase. And so basically that's what we're doing with J3 is bringing that expenditure back so you know the exact number that it costs the district and getting you guys to ratify that expenditure. Do I have any questions?
Well, just the reminder of the discussion earlier about the insurance part of some of these, right? That many of these we are hoping will be covered by our insurance. Is that true?
It is true, yes.
All right, so
we expect them to be covered by our insurance.
Thank you.
We'll have the deductible, but outside of that, we'll have the rest covered.
Thanks.
Are there any other questions?
Do we have a motion?
Would you like me to read the administrative? Okay. It's administrative recommendation to consider ratification of an emergency purchase for Summit Fire Security LLC for the amount of $89,776 utilizing RFP 24-021 for the repair of the fire suppression line at Pebble Creek Elementary School. Additionally, considering approval authorizing superintendent to approve up to $5,000 in change orders or contingencies, bringing the total contract amount not to exceed $94,776.
Nicely done. I move that we accept the recommendation as presented.
Thank you. Awesome.
Motion by Ms. McAdams, second by Mr. Ben. Any further question or discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. J4, consider ratification of emergency purchase for cotton restoration for the amount not to exceed $250,000, not including rebuild based on the buy board contract 675-22 due to the rupture of the fire suppressant line at Pebble Creek Elementary. Ms. Wilson.
Yes, sir. So Cotton Restoration Company, I think if you've seen from the pictures, they did an amazing job and turned that campus around within 2 days and got our kids back in the campuses. So we're very pleased with them. They've showed up within hours of, I think, us calling them, and we're ready and cleaning up that facility. The total cost for restoration was $250,000. That is for the first piece. Of course, for the second piece, they're going to come in and restore the facility. That will be additional cost that we'll bring back to you in the month of January for ratification. Does anybody have any questions? If there are no questions or concerns, it's administrative recommendation to consider ratification of an emergency purchase from Cotton Restoration for the amount not to exceed $250,000, not including rebuild, based on the buy board contract 675-22 due to the rupture of a fire suppression line at Pebble Creek Elementary School.
I just wanted to clarify, just as far as that amount and how that works with it being a buy board contract. So that's a pretty standardized amount for the amount of work that they did and what they did and so forth, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I move to accept the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Motion by Ms. McAdams, second by Ms. Ege. If there's no further question or comment, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
That'll bring us to item K1, consider award of RFCSP 25-003 for the baseball and softball renovation projects at A&M Consolidated High School and College Station High School to Jacoby Construction in the amount of $8,382,911 utilizing 24 bond funds. Mr. Buckner.
All right, good evening. So during the planning for the athletics bond that passed this past May in 2024, it was determined that renovations to the baseball and softball fields at both comprehensive high schools were made a priority project. This project was budgeted at a little over $8.34 million and consisted of replacing the grass with artificial turf for that. During a design process that we've been going through, multiple alternates were added to this project and to try and stretch the budget further and try to make further upgrades to these fields, these 4 fields at the high schools. So with that, these alternates included replacing the netting, the backstop netting, replacing, fixing the backstops at softball, the upgrading batting cages, turfing D zones, etc. We had quite a few alternates. I think we had 10 total in the project. So for this project, we utilized the competitive sealed proposal method for procurement, and bids were open on December 4th, and we had 7 submissions for this project. And after evaluating and going through our scoring process as dictated in our bid documents, like it was mentioned, Jacody Construction is the rose to the top and is recommended to serve as a general contractor for this project. So Jacody was not only the best value after our scoring process, but they were also the low bid on this project. And if you remember, Jacody is also serving as general contractor on our middle school athletic improvements projects, as well as our high school stadium improvement project. So we have a few things going with Jacody Construction right now. Jacody's bid, including the alternates, came in at $8,382,911, and this includes allowances in the amount of $300,000. And these allowances, any unused allowance with contingency or anything, comes back to the district at the end of these projects, and we're expecting a significant portion of that to come back to us at the end of this project. This project will start. Doesn't really have a designated start date. It is all dependent on the success of the baseball, softball teams. So as soon as we can gain access to those fields, the project will start. It is estimated, right now we have substantial completion of August 15th, but kind of depends also on how well they do in playoffs and everything. And then also it is the summer and pending weather. It is completely outside, so that could dictate, but right now we are targeting August 15th as our substantial completion date. So do y'all have any questions for me about this project or Jacody?
Questions or comment? Okay.
I move to approve as presented.
A second.
Motion by Ms. Simmons, second by Ms. Iggy. Any further question, comment? No. And all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Mr. Buckner. Thank you. That will bring us to item N, adjournment. Thank y'all so much for being here. To our staff, enjoy your time off. It's well deserved. Thank you for everything y'all have done in the fall semester. We'll see y'all back in January.